Hey guys, we're going to move into day 4 of our Keystone review where we simplify rational expressions. You should be pretty good at this. We just got done having a quiz on it. It's hit pretty hard in the Keystones, which is why we're going to take one more day to review it. So the first thing I want you to notice about number 1 is that there's no adding and subtracting, so it's a monomial. So we treat 4 over 14 as one unit and P3 over P4 as a different unit. 4 over 14 reduces on your calculator to 2 over 7. And there's 1p left in the bottom. Now we're going to move on to number 3. Again, it's the same thing. We treat 54 over 24 like one unit, and then b4 over b3 is another unit. 54 over 24 both divide by 2. I believe they also both divide by 6, actually. And you can just do math enter on your calculator. So you get 9 over 4 with 1b left on the top because of 4 minus 3. Okay, I'm going to do the odds so you can do the evens when we're done. You shouldn't be too bad at this stuff. Most of you did pretty well on that last quiz. Okay, when you look at number 5, you should ask yourself if anything has a GCF. This top does have a GCF, and the GCF is 4. So when you pull out a 4, you will end up getting 12 divided by 4 is 3a, minus divided by 4 is 7. The bottom does not have a GCF, so it would just carry over. This is not a box problem, so the last thing I need to do is do 4 divided by 40, and 4 divided by 40 ends up being 1 over 10 with a 3a minus 7 in the top. Okay, number 6, the first thing you need to look, oh, nope, not number 6, I'm going to be doing odds. Number 7, you should notice that the top has a GCF, and the GCF of the top is 5. When you pull out a 5, you're going to divide by it, so you get 3x plus 7. The bottom does not have a GCF, it's just 45x. There is no box, so there's no need to even try to use the box to box it up. You really just need to see 5 over 45x as its own like kind of thing, and 5 over 45 on your calculator will reduce to 1 over 9 with an x on the bottom. And then the 3x plus 7 just travels down to the top. Okay, now for number 9. Again, we just did this particular unit, so it should be pretty fresh in your mind. The first thing we're going to look at on the top and the bottom is a GCF. GCF, remember, stands for greatest common factor. What do they all have? So the top, both of them have a 16, so that would be a GCF. When we divide, we get 1n minus 1. On the bottom, the GCF I do believe is 24. If I try 72 divided by 24, yes. So if you pull out a 24, when you divide, you get 1n minus 3. There are no boxes on this problem because there are no x squareds. So I just need to take a look at 16 over 24. And when I do 16 divided by 24, math enter on my calculator, I get 2/3. So I will have 2/3. The top will have 1n minus 1. The bottom will have 1n minus 3. And nothing else cancels. Number 11. You are going to have to take a look always for a GCF. There is no GCF on the top, and there is no GCF on the bottom. So what we need to do now is look at the box option. And we should say, yeah, there is definitely a box. So what you should do is grab one of those papers that I've crumpled up and thrown in the garbage can. I literally just pulled this out of the garbage can. There we go. You're going to grab these papers I gave you and you're going to box these problems up. At this point in time, if you forget how to box, please ask someone. There are many students in your classroom who know exactly how to use that box. Please ask them if you do not know. When you box this, you will get x plus 2 and x plus 4. When you do the bottom, you will also notice it's a box. You will get x minus 7 and x plus 4. Because there's things on the top and bottom that match, you cancel them. And you end up with x plus 2 over x minus 7. By the way, on number 12, because I know number 12 might throw some people off, there is a GCF when you come to this problem. In the top, the GCF between 21 and 18 is a 3, but they each also have a k. and on the bottom they each have a 3 and a k. Please understand that once you take this k away, you will not need a box because it will no longer be squared. Alright, we have 2 more problems to do together. Number 13, you should notice that when you check for a GCF on number 13, there is no GCF on the top, although there is a GCF of 3 on the bottom, so we do need to take it out. I did not make this very large. I need to make it a little bigger so my writing isn't squished. Okay, so when we take a 3 out of the bottom, we get m squared plus 13m plus 40. Again, we did this stuff very, very recently, but it's because it's on the Keystone so much that it's a good idea to do it again. The next thing we need to do, ask ourselves if it needs a box. The top is absolutely a box problem, and the bottom is also a box problem. So again, you're going to need to pull out this paper and box each one up. Alright, I am going to write an equal sign here. I am on the box step. I just didn't have enough room above. When you do the box, again, most of you should be good at the box, you will end up getting a plus 10 and a plus 5 after you do the box. The bottom, you're going to end up with that 3 that was in the front. Please don't forget that 3. I noticed some kids on the quiz did. When you box that up, you are going to get a plus 8 and an m plus 5. Notice the m plus 5's cancel. You are left with m plus 10 over 3 and m plus 8. I think these are incredibly doable problems for you on the Keystone, and I think you're going to do a great job with them if you can always remember to check for GCF and then check for boxes. Number 15, we're going to check everything for a GCF. And on the top, it is my hope that you see that there's no GCF on the bottom. My video just... Oh, no, it didn't. On my top, it's my hope that you see there's no GCF on the top, but on the bottom there is a GCF of a 3. Be careful, the Keystone's going to be full of GCFs. When you pull out a 3, you will get x squared minus 6x plus 5. And then you're going to check for boxes. On the top, absolutely that one is a box. I have an x squared in 3 terms, and on the bottom, again, I have an x squared with 3 terms. When you box the top, you will end up getting a minus 3 and an x minus 5. When you box the bottom, please don't forget that GCF of 3. When you do the box on one of these pieces of paper, you might want to try doing it without the paper since you won't have the paper on the Keystones. You will get x minus 1 and x minus 5. The x minus 5's cancel, and you are left with x minus 3 over 3 and x minus 1.